Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to be sharing different forms of sensory play that I did with Dani that was not only really cheap but extremely effective in helping her recover from virtual autism. Stick around if that is of interest to you. Hey everyone, for those of you who are new, I am Mel. My daughter Dani at 18 months old was diagnosed with severe autism, not virtual autism. She was actually diagnosed with severe autism, but because I had done some research, I decided that we were actually going to treat this as if it was virtual autism. I've got a video and I share a lot of content on what we discovered and what we did and how she actually recovered. If you haven't watched that already, I'll put the thumbnails here for you. You can go check out those videos. But we were treating this as virtual autism, and these are the play therapies that we did with her to help her in her recovery journey that were extremely effective. As I always say, I'm not a medical expert. I'm no therapist. All I know is what worked for my daughter, and my plan and my purpose here is to share what worked for our family and hope that it can benefit you in some way. I will also say I'm almost finished the document. I'm creating a really helpful guide for parents that are dealing with virtual autism, and you just need to know, how do I get started? How do I do this from home? I can't afford the therapies. That was our situation. We couldn't afford the therapy that they were telling us to do for $7,000 a month. So we needed to make a different plan, and we did. And as I said, within 18 months, she was fully recovered. And I'm going to be sharing a document. I'm actually making a document now to help parents that are dealing with the same situation. I wish I'd had like a step-by-step guide to help me, because recovery is possible. And I'm not making any medical claims for your family, but I just want to share what we did and how it helped us and how it brought my daughter back to me. It restored my daughter's life. So stick around, hit the bell if you want to receive notifications when I release content. I will release a video when that document is ready for download. Amen. Okay, so I want to be talking about 16 different sensory plays today. The first one is water play. Water play provides sensory regulation. The feeling of water can be very calming and help children regulate their emotions and their sensory systems. It helps with fine motor skills, pouring, squeezing sponges, using spray bottles. Scooping strengthens the hand muscles needed for writing and self-care. Hand-eye coordination, it helps filling cups, aiming water wheels. Catching floating toys improves coordination. A problem-solving thing, children learn concepts like floating versus sinking, cause and effect, and how containers fill and empty. It helps with language development. It creates opportunities to teach like words like fill, empty, float, sink, pour, splash. It helps with social skills. Playing with others encourages sharing. It helps, learning how to take turns, cooperative play. And then, of course, imaginative play. Boats, sea animals, cups, dolls. All of these things encourage creativity and pretend play. Just remember, always supervise your kids closely around water, even if it's a small amount of water. I will just say some of these things actually require adult supervision because there's choke hazards. So just, use wisdom. The second thing we did was Play-Doh. Again, this really helps with fine motor skills. It strengthens the small muscles in the hands and the fingers needed for, writing, buttoning, clothing, using utensils. It helps with hand strength, sensory processing. It provides tactile, that's touch, and proprioceptive, that's deep pressure input, which can be calming and organizing for many children. It encourages creativity and imagination. Hand-eye coordination, and it improves things like hand-eye coordination. It helps with language development, because it offers opportunities to name colors, shapes, textures, describe things like roll, flatten, squish, things like that. And it helps with attention and focus. Many children can concentrate longer while they are manipulating Play-Doh. It can also help with emotional regulation. The repetitive squeezing and kneading and things like that, that actually helps reduce stress and frustration for some kids. And it also helps them learn how to follow simple instructions when you're modeling and demonstrating things for them while speaking. The third thing is sand or kinetic sand. Kinetic sand provides a unique texture that's really easy to mold without being as messy as regular sand. It promotes sensory regulation, fine motor development, hand strength, creativity, focus, imaginative play through calming tactile exploration. The fourth thing is a sensory bin. You can create a rice, a bean, lentil, or pasta sensory bin. As I mentioned earlier, some of these things are choke hazards, so you really need to supervise your kids. But sensory bins filled with rice, beans, lentils, or pasta promote sensory regulation, fine motor development, hand-eye coordination, focus, creativity, early learning through scooping, pouring, sorting, and exploring different textures. The fifth thing that's great was finger painting. Finger painting promotes sensory regulation. It helps with fine motor development, creativity, hand-eye coordination, self-expression, early learning through tactile exploration. There's color recognition opportunities, open-ended artistic play. It's wonderful. The sixth thing we would recommend was mud play outside. Clay and outdoor mud play really promotes sensory regulation. It helps with fine motor development, creativity, problem solving, hand strength, imaginative play, and more importantly, it's a connection with nature through hands-on tactile exploration, which really, really made a huge difference for Dani. I'll say this again, we're not giving you medical advice. This isn't meant to be advice of any kind. Always go to your own doctor, your own therapists for help. But I'm sharing what really, really helped with my daughter's recovery. The next thing was shaving cream. Shaving cream on a table or a tray, this promotes sensory regulation, tactile exploration, fine motor development, creativity, hand-eye coordination, pre-writing skills, self-expression through hands-on sensory play. It's wonderful. Then there's bubble play. Bubble play is amazing. Dani absolutely loved bubbles. Bubble play promotes visual tracking, hand-eye coordination, gross motor skills, sensory regulation, attention, social interaction through fun, and of course, movement-based play. It's wonderful. And then, of course, there is playing and digging in the garden. It's wonderful and it's free. Digging in the garden or the sandbox promotes sensory regulation, gross and fine motor development, hand strength, coordination, problem solving, creativity, imaginative play through active, hands-on exploration. These are all the types of things that while your child was sitting in front of the television, they weren't getting. So these things, they might seem very repetitive and boring even. They are extremely necessary and extremely beneficial. We watched our daughter come back to us through these things. Don't underestimate the power that they carry. The fifth thing, playing with sponges. Sponge play promotes sensory regulation, fine motor development, hand strength, hand-eye coordination, problem solving, practical life skills through squeezing, soaking, and transferring water. And then there are scooping and pouring activities. Scooping and pouring activities promote fine motor development, hand-eye coordination, sensory regulation, concentration, problem solving, early math skills through measuring, transferring, and exploring different materials. And then you can do ice cubes or frozen toys. Ice cubes or frozen toys to explore promote sensory regulation, tactile awareness, problem solving, fine motor development, patience, curiosity, early learning, early science learning through temperature and texture exploration. And then of course there's textured fabrics that's always a great thing. Exploring textured fabrics promotes tactile awareness, sensory regulation, fine motor development, body awareness, curiosity and tolerance of different textures through hands-on sensory exploration. Something Dani loved was musical instruments, dancing and singing. She loved it. These things promote auditory processing, sensory regulation, language development, coordination, rhythm, social interaction, creativity, gross motor development through music and movement. It's wonderful. Dani wasn't walking when we started this, so it really made a huge difference and impact on her. And then another thing that Dani really, really benefited from was swinging, jumping, spinning, and climbing. She had some real heavy vestibular sensory processing challenges that we needed to overcome. And these activities really made an incredible difference for her and helped her tremendously. Spinning can be helpful for some kids, I should mention this, but it can actually overstimulate others, especially kids with vestibular sensitivities. So it's really best done in moderation and according to the child's individual needs. Make sure you speak to your therapist and follow their guidelines on that type of thing. Another thing that really helped Dani was carrying heavy objects, pushing like a laundry basket around, or doing bear walks. You know, those animal walks where you've got your hands and your feet on the ground and you walk with your bum in the air. Those all provide proprioceptive, which is a deep pressure input. And this promotes body awareness, sensory regulation, motor planning, coordination, strength, focus, self-regulation through deep pressure and resistance-based movement. All of those things really helped Dani with the vestibular challenges that she faced. Now, if you combine several of those things together into one, it makes it even better. For instance, you might hide some toys in kinetic sand, and then you can do a language class at the same time. Talk about colors, talk about what you're finding in the sand, or maybe you put toys in the sand, in the rice bin or the pasta sensory bin. You know, there's a lot of things that you can actually do together that you end up hitting multiple things, hitting multiple birds with one stone is really the word I'm using, or word I'm looking for. But I really hope that helps you. As I said, these things are things that we did with Dani, and it made a tremendous, tremendous impact on her and her development. We just saw her skyrocket. As I said, if you haven't watched her recovery story and just what happened with her, how she got diagnosed, and, you know, from the start to the finish, how we actually, you know, saw the recovery, go and watch that. It will greatly encourage you. I hope that helps you. God bless. We'll see you next week. Bye.